Hey friends, welcome back to my channel, NBC Lifestyles Diary. My name is Marie. I live in New York and I love traveling, fashion, and cultural events, and I'm asking you to join me on the adventure. Today is day 3 in Cartagena, and my cousin booked a tour on a hop-on, hop-off bus. So here I am walking through the park that's directly across from our hotel and leads straight to the walled city. I discovered that in this park there are a couple of monkeys that live there too. And we're looking at the different monuments. And finally we're at the walled city at the clock tower. We're going to go to the pier to catch the hop-on, hop-off bus. And this is also the location in which you can catch boats that'll take you to the islands, the beach islands like Rosario Island, and they have beach clubs there. And now we're looking at the wall of the inner city, or the historic city, and that wall was called La Heroica. So the minute you see a port city with a lot of forts and walls, know that they were attacked by pirates and other competing European countries. Here we are at the walled city, and we're looking at some old buildings, and as is typical in Cartagena, there's a slew of vendors. We're taking a look at our tourist map to get our bearings. And as we walked into the inner city, we found ourselves in the San Pedro Calvar Plaza, and this is a church where the priest was known as the slave of the slave because he took care of the enslaved people and the indigenous people that were being mistreated by the Spaniards. He was known to nurse them back to health. And because of this, the Catholic Church canonized him, and his body is buried in that church. In this plaza, there's a statue of him with an enslaved person, and the history is provided. This plaza also contains little statues showing the people of Colombia in their everyday task. You see the people memorialized playing dominoes, the vendors, the street vendors, the carts that are pushed as goods are taken down narrow streets. It's just a wonderful depiction of everyday man in Colombia. Also in this square, we got approached by some women in colorful dresses. And these women will take pictures with you and place the baskets of fruit on your head. But please make sure to give them a tip, because that's why they do it. But the story of these women is that they were in a town an hour away from Cartagena, and they would carry their produce into Cartagena, and that's the way they would make their livelihood. So now we're on the bus and we're passing by. Here are the boats that I've told you about, and we're passing the walled city, and we're passing the port, and we're listening to the history of Cartagena. Cartagena was a rich port, and it suffered attacks from pirates, including the pirate Drake, and also a French pirate named Piontes. And also the British tried to take Cartagena, and so did the French. But the main tourist attraction now for Cartagena is the colonial style buildings and the layout of the city that bears historical relevance. And here, this street that we're going down is also a popular street in Cartagena with many shops and restaurants and nightlife. And we're also looking at the water, at the different sailboats, and you start getting the feel of this city on the water. Then we crossed over to Boca Chica, which shows you the fort of San Felipe, And as I said, it was also used to ward off invasion. As we continued on our tour, we're taken away from history and into modern day Cartagena. This is a beach vacation town, so other Colombians come here to enjoy. As tourists, we're enjoying the whole historical aspect of it and the picturesque versions of this town, but there's so much more to Cartagena than this. As a former Spanish colony, Cartagena was a key port for the export of Bolivian silver to Spain and for the import of enslaved Africans under the Sancho system. It was defensible against pirate attacks in the Caribbean. The city's strategic location between the Magdalena and Sinu rivers also gave it easy access to the interior of New Granada and made it a main port for trade between Spain and its overseas empire, establishing its importance by the early 1540s. Here we are in Boca Grande, and to me it looks just like Miami Beach. So I was really grateful that I had chosen to stay in the historic center. It would have been a shame to fly 4 to 5 hours away just to end up in Miami Beach. That was my personal feelings. But for those of you that never lived in Miami Beach, I guess it would be great. Later on that afternoon, we got ready to go to Salele. This was a gastronomical feast. I loved this restaurant and it was very hard to get a reservation, but thanks to the perseverance of Judith, who was in our party, we got a seat at the table. And it was rather embarrassing because every time we took a bite of our food, 6 adults were sitting around the table going, "Oh my God, oh, this is so good." The food was not only beautiful to look at, but incredibly delicious with flavors that I've never experienced before. I would go back to Cartagena just to eat there again. It was fun, and our server was very informative. And it was not only the sight and the smell, but there was also each dish had its own specific way of eating it. I had the incredible lobster dish. This is coffee, and this is my dessert. And that was incredibly beautiful and delicious. I can't describe the taste to you. You just have to go. Book your flight now and go to Salele. After our wonderful meal, we headed back to the square. So Salele is also in Getsemani. So as I told you, it's the happening neighborhood in Cartagena. But let me tell you a little bit about where we're heading to. We're heading to Plaza de la Trinidad, the Square of the Trinity. It is of major importance in Colombia's struggle for independence. The Getsemani Battalion of Lancers, commanded by Pedro Romero, would result in the Declaration of Independence November 11, 1811. The name of the square comes from the Church of the Holy Trinity, dating back to 1643. After the Declaration of Independence, they wanted to change the name to Liberty Square, but it's hard to change habits. The restaurants and cafes by the square are packed with tourists any time of day. Getsemani, like the original place in Jerusalem where Jesus was caught and judged before the Jewish court, then is always a place of a painful and bloody page of history. This is the Church of the Holy Trinity, and here we're looking at the plaza where people are waiting for the shows to begin because there's numerous dancers and musicians that come and put on a spectacle. This is the happening area in Cartagena. On Friday, you're looking at me once again in the restaurant having my favorite breakfast called the Americano. My cousins are taking an hour bus ride out to Planca, which is the first town of freed slaves in Cartagena. They were escaped free slaves. So they did that journey while we stayed and luxuriated in our hotel. It is very hot in Cartagena and it's humid, and the rain actually helps to cool everything off. But today we just wanted to soak in the pool and enjoy the amenities. Hey friends, if you're enjoying this video and this trip to Cartagena, please give me a thumbs up. And remember to subscribe, like, and share. But stay till the end because there's more to see. And that night we got ready for dinner. We were going to another well-known restaurant called La Mulata, and it's known for their fried fish and home cooking style food. Very popular spot, and it did not disappoint. So we didn't have gourmet, but we did have down home cooking, and we got the last of the fish actually. It's very popular and large groups go there. I did not have a bad meal in Colombia. Everything was delicious and well prepared and lived up to the hype. So it was a good time. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe.